Tonight's stories aren't just unsettling. They're the kind that stay with you long after the video ends. In this video, we have a whispering voice returns every night at exactly 3:17 a.m., demanding to be obeyed. A polite but persistent ghost who knocks before entering, until one night he doesn't, and a teenage girl whose family plays with a homemade Ouija board and wakes something up. If the first two stories make you uneasy, the last one might haunt you, especially once you hear the name they shouldn't have said.
My name's Dana. I'm in my early 30s, and I live alone in a quiet suburb just outside Asheville, North Carolina. My house isn't anything special. 2 bedrooms, a tiny porch, and a backyard that slopes into a small patch of woods. I work from home as a digital marketing analyst. It's a lot of spreadsheets and client calls, so my life's pretty quiet. Uneventful even. I moved into this house about a year and a half ago after a rough breakup. I was looking for a fresh start, somewhere peaceful. I didn't even think twice about living alone. I actually liked the idea of being on my own for once. That was before the whispering started. The first time, I thought it was just a dream. I woke up one night, groggy, disoriented. My heart was beating fast, like I'd just been startled awake. I remember thinking I'd heard something, a voice, but I couldn't make out what it had said. I glanced at the stove clock on my way to the kitchen. It was exactly 3:17 a.m. Didn't think much of it, figured I'd had a nightmare, drank some water, went back to bed. The next night, though, I woke up again. Same time. But this time, I heard it clearly. A low, gravelly whisper right next to my ear. "Go turn off the basement light." It felt like someone had been leaning in, speaking directly into me. I jumped out of bed, heart in my throat. The hallway was pitch black. I stood there, frozen, until I convinced myself it had to be my imagination. But just to prove it to myself, I crept downstairs. The door to the basement was cracked open, something I never do, and when I peeked down the steps, the light was on. I hadn't been down there in weeks. I turned it off, trying to ignore the way my skin crawled with every step. I didn't sleep after that. The next night, 3:17 again, another whisper. "Unplug the toaster." Why? I had no idea, but I got up. My hands were shaking. I walked into the kitchen and yanked the plug from the wall like a puppet doing as it's told. I started keeping track of the whispers, writing them down. They always came at the exact same time, always in that same decaying, breathy voice. At first, the requests were weird but harmless. Close the bathroom window. Flip the photo frame over. Check the lock on the back door. But then things shifted. Delete the voicemail. Don't answer the phone today. Don't talk to the man at the grocery store. I obeyed, because I was too afraid not to. Every time I hesitated, something bad would happen. Not huge, just off, like the one time I didn't check the lock on the back door. The next morning, it was wide open. Another time, I ignored a whisper that said to burn an old birthday card. That same night, the smoke alarm went off, but there was no fire. Just the sharp, clanging screech and the smell of burnt paper coming from inside the wall near my bedroom. I couldn't explain any of it, and I tried to. I went to a sleep specialist, got my house checked for carbon monoxide, bought a white noise machine, new locks, even set up motion-triggered cameras in the hallway, but the whispers kept coming. 3:17 every night. Then came the Thursday I tried to fight back. That night the voice said, "Break the mirror in the hallway." I remember sitting up in bed, already exhausted, and saying out loud, "No, big mistake." The temperature in the room dropped instantly. My teeth started chattering. The light bulb above me flickered once, then shattered. Then I heard it,
this awful guttural groan that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The house vibrated with it. My hallway mirror shattered. Just exploded, sending shards across the floor. There was nothing touching it. I checked the cameras later. They just cut to black for 4 minutes. When the feed returned, the mirror was in pieces. From that night on, I obeyed everything, even when the commands made no sense. Take the red book off the shelf. Dig in the corner of the backyard. I actually did that one. Dug about a foot down, found a rotted animal corpse in a plastic bag, wrapped in what looked like a strip of flannel shirt. I don't own flannel. I called animal control anonymously, couldn't even bring myself to tell them what I'd found. One day, my neighbor Kevin came by. He'd noticed my porch light had been on for 2 days straight and wanted to check in. We chatted for 5 minutes. He's older, sweet, always checking in on the block. That night, the whisper said, "Don't speak to him again." I ignored it, figured Kevin was harmless. The next morning, my tires were slashed. Kevin swore he didn't hear anything unusual during the night, but when I went inside to check the camera, the feed was frozen at 3:17. Every other minute recorded perfectly. Then came the worst whisper yet. "Let me in." I felt paralyzed in bed. The air turned sour, like mildew and wet pennies. I heard the click of my doorknob. I hadn't locked it that night. The knob turned. Slowly, deliberately. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just lay there, eyes fixed on the door, waiting for it to open. But it didn't. The next morning, nothing was out of place, until I checked the floorboards just inside the bedroom. 3 scratches. Deep and parallel. I replaced the lock the next day. By this point, I was barely functioning. I stopped going out. I quit every work meeting I could. My eyes were sunken from lack of sleep. My boss thought I had mono. I didn't tell anyone, not even my sister. I didn't want to be that person. The whispers started getting creative. Place your phone in the oven. Burn the picture in the living room. Don't sleep tonight. Don't blink. That last one, I tried. I stayed up, eyes wide, huddled on the couch with the lights on. At 3:17, I must have blinked. Just once. When I opened my eyes, every cupboard in the kitchen was open. Every drawer, the faucet was running. And written across my bathroom mirror in something brownish and crusted were the words, "I saw that." I stopped fighting it after that. One day, I missed a whisper because I was wearing noise-canceling headphones. The next day, I woke up to my hallway walls covered in writing, all of it in the same voice. "You don't listen. You don't learn. I'm trying to help you." That last one stuck with me. Help me. Help me from what? I started wondering if this thing, whatever it was trying to protect me or control me. I started reading forums, looking into old house records, found nothing. No tragic deaths, no reported hauntings, just a long string of owners who never stayed more than a year. I reached out to the last woman who owned the house. She never responded. I found out later she moved across the country, changed her name. I still live here. Because now, I'm afraid to leave. Every time I pack a bag, the whisper says something like, "You can't run. You'll bring it with you." And I believe it. I'm not sure what's worse anymore, the fear or the fact that I've gotten used to it. Some nights the whispers are calm, almost gentle, like it's just making conversation. But other nights, they get too close. I can feel the breath on my skin, smell the decay in it, like damp soil and rust. Sometimes I wonder if I've already gone insane. If I'll wake up in a hospital bed somewhere and realize none of this is real, but then 3:17 comes, and the voice returns. And the worst part, it's starting to whisper during the day now.
My name's Marcus. I live alone in a 2-bedroom rental just outside Olympia, Washington. It's the kind of place you get when you don't want roommates but still need cheap rent. Small, older, a little drafty, but it does the job. I moved in last summer. The house sits on a quiet street surrounded by fir trees and mossy sidewalks. It's peaceful, almost too peaceful. My neighbor to the left is an older woman who gardens obsessively, and the house on the right has been empty since I moved in. That's what makes this whole thing even weirder. It started in the second week. I was in my kitchen making a late dinner, pasta or something frozen, when I heard a knock. 3 soft knocks. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the hallway. I remember standing there for a second, confused. I live alone. There's no reason anyone would be inside my house knocking on an interior door. I walked down the hallway slowly, calling out a cautious, "Hello?" like an idiot in a horror movie. But there was nothing. The bathroom door was cracked. The bedroom doors were both open. Nothing out of place. I chalked it up to old house noises, the kind of thing you tell yourself is just pipes, so you don't freak yourself out at night. But then it happened again. And again. Always the same. 3 knocks. Always soft, always deliberate, always from a closed door inside the house. And always followed, a few seconds later, by the sound of that door slowly creaking open. It didn't matter if I'd just closed it. Didn't matter if I'd locked it. Tap, 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 creak. At first, it was just annoying. I'd be working in the office and hear a knock from the bathroom, or lying in bed half asleep and hear it from the hall closet. But the weirdest part, whoever or whatever was doing it was polite. It never slammed a door, never knocked loudly. It didn't make a mess or break anything, just knocked and let itself in. I started making jokes about it to friends, called it the polite ghost. I even named it Harold. "Harold's just checking on the water heater again," I'd text when the basement door swung open in the middle of the night. But over time, the tone shifted. It wasn't funny anymore, because Harold started knocking on my bedroom door while I was inside. I'd be trying to sleep, and at exactly 2:44 a.m., I'd hear it. Tap, tap, tap. Then the doorknob would rattle, then the creak. I started locking the door. Didn't matter. Still opened. Still creaked. One night I waited, standing by the door, holding my breath. As soon as I heard the knock, I flung it open. Nothing was there. But as I stood in the doorway, I heard another door down the hall creak open slowly. That was when I realized it wasn't just knocking. It was moving. I started sleeping with the lights on. Every night I closed and locked every interior door, bedroom, bathroom, pantry, even the hall closet. Still, every night at 2:44 a.m. I'd hear tap, 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 pause, creak. The timing was too precise to be pipes or drafts. And sometimes, this part still messes me up. Sometimes I'd hear it sigh, just barely. A low, tired exhale, like someone disappointed. I bought cameras. Of course I did. I put one in the hallway and one in the living room. They picked up nothing, or almost nothing. At 2:44 a.m., the camera in the hallway would go fuzzy. Not static, just a faint distortion, like the pixels were melting slightly. Then the next frame would show the door swinging open. No one visible, no wind, no reason. Just the door opening, like Harold didn't want to be filmed. The next part is where things get hard to talk about. About a month ago, I stopped locking the doors. I don't know why. Maybe I got used to it. Maybe I was tired of pretending I was in control. But that night, Harold changed things. There were no knocks, not at first. Instead, I woke up and the bedroom door was already open. That had never happened before. I always heard the knock first, always had time to prepare. But this time, nothing. The door was open, wide open, and standing in the hallway, barely visible in the dim light, was a shape. I didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. It didn't move either, just stood there, not in shadow exactly, but like it was part of the hallway itself. Blurred into the background, yet clearly not right. I turned on the lamp. In a blink, the hallway was empty. Door still open. No sound. Just silence. After that, I stopped sleeping entirely. I started dozing off during the day and staying up all night. But even then, around 2:44 a.m., I'd still hear knocks. Sometimes from the front door. Sometimes from the inside of a cabinet. Always soft. Always deliberate. One night, I didn't hear it at all. Thought maybe it had stopped. Then the next morning, I walked into the kitchen and found all the cabinets and drawers pulled open. Not in a messy way, neatly, as if Harold had taken inventory. There was a note, a literal sticky note on the fridge. Written in careful block letters, I knocked. I didn't write that. I don't even own sticky notes. I packed a bag that day and stayed with a friend for a week. His apartment was loud, bright, full of music and people and laughter. No knocks. But the second I came home, that first night back, tap, 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 heard from inside the walls. Last week I called a medium. She was younger than I expected, maybe in her late 20s. She walked the house, slowly, didn't say much. When she got to the basement, she stood at the top of the stairs for almost a full minute, just listening. Then she turned to me and said, "He thinks it's his house." I didn't know what to say. She didn't charge me, just left, never answered my follow-up calls. So here I am, still living with Harold. I've stopped locking the doors again. Doesn't matter. He still knocks, still opens them, still walks the halls at 2:44 a.m. But lately, he's getting bolder. 2 nights ago, I woke up with my bedroom door open, again. Only this time the closet door was also open. And the blanket on the foot of my bed? It was folded, neatly, like a hotel. Last night, I swear to God, I heard footsteps. Just 2, right next to the bed. Then the softest knock yet, on the nightstand drawer beside me. Tap, tap, tap. I didn't open it. I just stared at the ceiling and waited for the sun to come up. I don't know what Harold wants. I don't know if he's just polite or patient. But whatever it is, I think one night soon he's going to stop knocking. My name's Rachel. I live in Oregon now, but this story happened about 6 years ago when my family and I were still living in rural Indiana. We just moved into a rental, a decent 2-story house at the edge of town. Not too old, not too new. A little creaky, but nothing alarming. I was 16 at the time, living with my mom, my stepdad Greg, and my younger brother Ethan. It was the first time we'd had a place that felt like it could actually be ours for a while. Things started pretty normal. New routines, new schools. My mom worked from home, Greg worked night shifts, and Ethan was usually glued to his tablet. I had my own room upstairs, which I loved. It overlooked the backyard, and the window would rattle slightly when the wind kicked up, something I found oddly comforting. The whole thing started as a joke. One weekend, my cousin Sam came to stay over. He was a year older than me and way more into horror movies and creepy YouTube channels than I was. We were bored one Saturday night, just hanging out in my room when he pulled out this folded board from his backpack. "Ever use a Ouija board?" he asked, smirking. I laughed. "You brought one?" "Made it," he said, proud. "Works the same." It was cardboard, letters drawn in marker. A shot glass for the planchette. I wasn't into it, honestly, but it was late, we were bored, and I figured it couldn't hurt to humor him. We waited until my mom and Greg went to bed, lit a candle on the floor, and started asking dumb questions. Is anyone here? Do you want to talk to us? What's your name? Nothing happened. The shot glass didn't move. We were half laughing, half whispering, trying not to wake anyone. Then Sam asked, "When did you die?" And I swear to you, the glass moved, just a little, barely noticeable. We both froze. He looked at me. "You moved it." "No, I didn't." We tried again. This time it slid over to the number 1, then 9, then 7, then 8, 1978. We both stared at it. Neither of us was pushing. At least, I wasn't. I asked, "What's your name?" The glass moved, slower this time, toward the M, then A, then R, then Y. Mary. After that, it didn't move again. We asked more questions, but it was like it had just shut off. We eventually laughed it off, blew out the candle. Sam made some joke about Mary being shy, and we went to bed. I didn't think much of it, but things felt different after that night. At first, it was small stuff. I'd wake up to find my bedroom door open when I was sure I'd closed it. The light in the hallway would be on in the morning, even though no one admitted to turning it on. The smell of something sweet, like old perfume, would drift through the upstairs hallway, even when no one was wearing any. Then Ethan started talking about the lady. One morning, he came down to breakfast and casually said, "The lady in the hallway was looking at me last night." My mom laughed. "What lady?" "The one in the dress," he said, as if that explained it. "She was outside my room." I remember my mom and Greg exchanging a look, trying not to overreact, but when Ethan kept mentioning her, always saying she was nice but didn't like when we were loud, it stopped being funny. One night, Greg yelled up the stairs to keep it down. We weren't even doing anything. Ethan was asleep, and I was listening to music with my earbuds in. Greg swore he heard someone talking, a woman's voice, clear as day, coming from the second floor. A week later, my mom woke up to find every cabinet in the kitchen wide open. I didn't tell anyone about the Ouija board. I told myself it wasn't connected. It couldn't be. Then I started waking up at exactly 3:12 a.m. every single night. No sound, no dream, just wide awake and panicked, with the air in my room feeling like it had dropped 10 degrees. One night, I woke up and saw the edge of my closet door slowly swinging open. I told myself it was just airflow, just my imagination, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Things got more intense. The lights in the upstairs bathroom would flicker when no one was inside. The hallway smelled constantly like flowers, sickly sweet, cloying, like something rotting beneath the perfume. One afternoon, while I was home alone, the smoke detector went off for no reason. I ran upstairs thinking something was on fire, but when I got to the top step, the hallway was full of steam, thick, hot, like someone had left the shower running for hours. Only, the bathroom door was open. The room was dry. There was nothing on. It felt like the house was playing tricks on us, and it all kept coming back to one thing, that night with Sam. I finally told my mom. She didn't yell, she just went pale and very, very quiet. I expected her to say it was stupid, that we were just imagining things, but instead, she told me something I still think about. She said, "When I was your age, we did the same thing. We thought it was harmless too." I asked her what happened. She didn't answer. I asked her what happened. She didn't answer. She just said, "We should probably get the house blessed." We had a local pastor come by. He walked the house with a little metal bowl of holy water, saying prayers quietly under his breath. After he left, things did calm down. The doors stopped opening. Ethan stopped mentioning the lady. The weird smells disappeared. But I still wake up sometimes. Not every night, but sometimes. Around 3:12. The house completely silent. I always check the hallway light. Sometimes it's on. Last winter I got a message from Sam. Just a random text. Do you remember her name? I didn't even need to ask who he meant. I texted back, yeah. Mary. He sent just 2 words. Me too.